Hey everyone, we're gonna play around with some more Halloween DIY crafts, gifts, something fun to do while you are anticipating Halloween coming up this next week. Um, I've done at least one or two of these compilation videos. Some of these soaps you may have seen or seen me partially do in one of the other videos. Um, and I don't even know why I didn't show the whole pour on some of them, but I didn't. And when I was talking through, I said I promised I would show you the whole thing in another video. I think the reason I showed you partial while I'm stirring or kind of heating my soap here and showing you how many 30-second increments it takes to get a pound of soap melted down. Two different kinds of soap, aloe vera and olive premium from Wholesale Supplies Plus, and their basic clear. I'm mixing the two. I won't go into that long story now, maybe later, because I got lost in it when I tried the first time. I'm going to add a tiny bit of blue to combat that yellow that comes from the aloe vera and olive soap. It's still very clear. It just has a little bit of a yellow look to it. So we're going to put a little bit of liquid stained glass dye once we get our fragrance going. I think I'm just using unicorn sprinkles because it stays very clear. That's not what's causing the yellow in this. It's the actual soap. But just a touch of liquid blue stained glass dye, liquid soap dye, can battle that. You have to be careful because you don't want to just end up with green soap instead. But if your soap is extremely yellow, you're not going to be able to work around that. You just have to work with it. But this one, it works fine in. I am showing you this crystal technique because I do this a lot. I wanted to show you when I'm doing a DIY compilation video like this, I'm trying to give you ideas and show you the way I can get a lot of use out of the same mold. Because when it comes to Halloween molds or really any holiday or seasonal molds, you don't want to have a bunch of the same holiday, but you want to be able to make different looks. I mean, maybe you do. I do. And one of the ways to make them extend the life of them and allow you to get real creative. Oh, sorry, there's my yellow dyed finger. I am messy. If you don't know me, you'll soon come to find out if you stick around. I'm pretty messy. But it doesn't show in the soaps, hopefully, most of the time, because I choose designs that will make it work for me. The soap I'm doing now is I'm pouring a plain orange soap, clear, mostly clear, to create some crystals like the ones you see just below that orange rectangle I'm pouring. See the white and the purple and the darker purple. They're just two different shades. One is a little more on the blue side. It's probably a little more purple than that with all the purple matte going on and all that. It kind of throws that off. It is a little more purple than blue on that. But it is definitely more blue than the purple above it, the more red one. Anyway, you'll be seeing me create crystals like that out of that orange rectangle. This little bit here, I guess I kind of included it because I did a pour over and then made a soap with that, which is another point that I can pass along. If you are a crafter and you're not used to doing soaps and you do a few, please always keep some little molds handy, little pour over molds, because the soap will get used. I mean, in melt and pour soap, it's not going to go bad unless you really overheat it or put something in it that doesn't belong. And you can reuse it in many different ways. I've got an entire video or 2 or 3 or more on that, and I'll probably have more coming soon. But I was testing a mold for my son that he made, and I ended up with a little extra because I wasn't sure how much it held, and I didn't do the water test because it's a very intricate mold and I didn't feel like dealing with trying to dry it out. He had washed it before and it was dry, and I didn't feel like dealing with pouring water in it again. So I ended up with more than it takes, and I would always aim for more than you think you need with soap. It weighs more than water, so if you're doing it by weight, if you're measuring with how much it weighs if you pour water in it, always go a little bit more than that because the soap is going to weigh more, so it will be more ounces or grams, however you tend to weigh. That's the liquid blue I'm adding to counteract the yellow of the soap. I guess I didn't put it in when I was first going because it didn't matter so much for the orange soap or that bright green. Then another reason I included that bright green, it's a liquid soap that is fun to use to me in Halloween because it's not glow in the dark, but it has that look, that day glow kind of look to it. It's really cool and it looks neat with Halloween things, as you'll see when you see the pumpkin result at the end. I do a different technique with it, and you'll see me, well, not that different, but the same face technique that I've been working with this mold. And it's pretty simple, but it looks complicated. I love things like that. As you saw with that bat, or maybe you couldn't tell, I pour, and this is true with all of the crystal soaps that I do, like this style of crystal soaps, where you see me just like shoving a bunch of crystals in a soap. I fill the mold first, about halfway, maybe a little bit more, and then I plunge the crystals in where I want them. As you see, it's very possible to guide that. I just used that stick to kind of hold back the first color and the second color, and then the third, you just shove them over because it still should be liquid enough to allow you some movement. I wouldn't dilly-dally with it because once you start putting crystals in, it will start setting up quickly. And then I pour over the top with a little bit more. I do pour soaps like this at a little hotter level than normal because of it setting up quite fast. Okay, so the little ghost you see doesn't even really need much explanation. I just added a little bit of glittering mica, Sparkle Me Aqua from Mad Micas. And then I topped off, it's really backing it, but I topped off that little green, brilliant bright green brilliant lemon lime, I think is the color of that stained glass dye. And I wanted to pour it in there and it filled the mold for me. That's the Sparkle Me Aqua. You can use a glitter type as long as it is a soap safe glitter and intended for use in soap. You could use a different kind. If I'd used the Sunshine Sparkle, you would have seen bigger chunks. Sunshine? Yeah, that's right. Sunshine. Sparkle Sunshine, not Sunshine Sparkle. Those are also from Mad Micas, or you could use one that you have, as long as it's, like I said, soap safe. I also prefer to use the biodegradable type to just kind of be a little more earth friendly when I can. The rectangle I'm cutting up, I'm doing two different things with. I'm going to set aside, you see me pulling those larger crystals. I'm just setting those aside for another project. And then I'm cutting them down just a little bit more, and then I'll speed it up as I kind of just chop, chop, chop. You'll notice that I was cutting at an angle. That is how you get them to look like crystals and not just squares and plain triangles. They look more crystalline if you add angles on those first cuts. You don't have to do it the whole time, but if the first set or two of cuts you angle, you're going to get a really nice faceted look to it. There's the Sparkle Sunshine being used, and you could have used that in the ghost if you wanted to. Like I said, those are bigger pieces, but it's still a glittering mica or sparkling mica, as they're called. This one there, that is from Nurture Soap. It is also a glittering mica. I can't remember the name of it offhand, but it's one of the white types. Why did I put 2? Because sometimes if you use more, well, always if you use more than one color in that, you're going to get a little bit more dimension. And I don't always do that, but I just had it and was playing with that this day that I was pouring these, and wanted to include a little bit of the white too. It just picks up the light a little differently. And there's more of the liquid stained glass dye. That's the yellow. Keep in mind, if you purchase these, the regular yellow is different from that lemon lime brilliant yellow. I'm not sure that I'm seeing the name right on it, but it does have those words all in the title. They just might be in a different order. They're 2 completely different colors, and I like them both, and I like to keep them both on hand. Just like with I'm not using them at this moment, although I did with the orange. I used the apple red, but the strawberry red is more pink in tone. So if you're going for purple, you'd want to use that and mix that with blue rather than the apple red. There's some basic colors that I like to keep on hand with those. Keep in mind, they do bleed. That are migrate is another way to put it. So the color will move from one to another. If you do red and green in 2 different sections, you're going to end up with brown eventually. It might take a while to migrate, but you're going to end up with brown for the most part. There's a few exceptions I'll show you someday. All I'm doing, this is soap with activated charcoal, dispersed in glycerin, added until it's fairly opaque. And then I'm just taking, it's pretty hot, by the way. I keep it pretty hot for this, but not to the point of where it's going to ruin the soap. And I can't tell you that point without knowing what soap base you're using. For me, I don't like to push my soap base past 135. I use, like I say, the Crafter's Choice. It has a lower melting point than some of the other brands. So other brands, you can take it hotter, and probably need to take it hotter in order to get it to melt properly and then adhere to your little faces like this. These, I don't know if you could see it on camera, but the faces are part of the mold. All I'm doing is filling in the gaps, filling in where the little space is. Then I come back, and it doesn't have to be perfect. As you can probably see, it's not perfect. It's kind of messy. It's going over the edges. It's a little wonky. But I go back and trim it later. I use a little knife and scrape it. I have a lot of experience using knives to carve things and to manipulate a variety of various craft materials. So if you don't have that kind of experience or control, and you obviously don't want kids to do that, you can probably find other ways to scrape. You could use one of the little plastic sticks to scrape it off. It comes off very easily. And you can wipe off any excess too with a little alcohol on a clean towel of some kind, or lint-free towel or paper towel, depending on what you have and use. And so I'm just kind of cleaning these faces up a little. They're pretty intricate, sorta. Like the little bat. You'll see maybe when he comes up close. And that one I didn't show me pouring it. Excuse me, because it was a pour over from another soap I was doing. It's just neon pigment, neon purple pigment. And it's just another soap I was pouring, and I saved it. I didn't do the face at the time, and so I saved it for when I was doing faces again. Excuse me. So what I was saying about the bat face is there's a really tiny little fangs in his mouth. And yeah, you can kind of see him from here. You'll see him better close up. But I like those details to show up. I could have just left it like it was, but I'm picky. So I'm just cleaning them up a little bit. You could leave them as is, and they'd be fine. They're still cute. Or you could, like I said, clean them with a paper towel and alcohol. Some of that will come off. Goodness, my allergies are really rough this week. Yeah. Oh, I'll stop talking about that. Back to the soaps. These pumpkins, you saw me do, like I said, part of them you saw another time. But I wanted to show the actual pour because you didn't get to see me pouring any actual crystal soaps that time. Filled them halfway, crammed in only a single color crystal, did have 2 colors of glitter, and then topped them off just to make sure they're all sealed in. And that's it. And here I am doing the last bit of cleanup, because when you scrape it, you're going to see a little bit of black activated charcoal kind of hanging out there. So I'm just cleaning them up. I always clean up my soaps with rubbing alcohol anyway after. I don't always wipe them off with that, but I always spray them. It helps to allow some of the additional moisture to come out of them. I do live in Florida, and so run the risk. Everything's humid, and always run the risk of glycerin dew. But if you dry them out using rubbing alcohol to spritz every once in a while and make sure they're in an area that's well circulated, you're really going to reduce that if you do that before you wrap them. You don't want to just let them sit somewhere in the humidity. You'll be pretty sorry. Anyway, you see, mine aren't even perfect. There's a little tiny little, they're not perfect, but they're cool and they're cute. And I think handmade soaps should not look too perfect, because you want somebody to know they're handmade. If it's a gift or if you're selling it, you don't want it to look like it just was stamped out of a machine somewhere. Those 2 the extra little ghost was, again, just one I had and needed a face at the time. Just like the neon one, like the neon bat right there, the little purple one. They were poured at another time, and there they are. See that? I did go back and clean up his face a little later. But there's my amethyst bat, and I do show you, this is a design I use in another soap, and actually in a few different soaps, and you'll see how I manage to get more for my money with my molds and with my design ideas too. See, there I took an amethyst, the colors that I tend to use for it. I do have a different amethyst design that is a lot more purple and more clear. But this is one of them. That's like pebbles. Not pebbles. Yeah, polished rocks. I go for a polished rock look, and that's what I use. Anyway, that's what inspired me to do the bat and show you that that you can, really play with these molds and get neat designs. So now we're heading toward the loofahs, because this is step 1 of it. This, guys, I was just trying these. I'd never done them. I'd used the loofahs in a plain old soap before. Just, put them in a soap. And they're cool, and some people really like them and some people don't. They're very scratchy and they're too harsh for a lot of people. I like to use them on my feet, and I know a lot of other people like to do the same thing if you have rough patches of skin. You definitely don't want to use them on your delicate parts, in my opinion, anyway. And all I'm doing here is, I don't know if you can see them. Can you see the faces that I'm seeing? That's why I tossed those other 2 aside that had the little, 4 cavities. The ones with 3 make a face. They also, if you're using other colors and kind of playing around with maybe a swirl, the others sometimes can look like a peace symbol. The 3 can look like a peace symbol, and the 4 cavity ones can look like a 4-leaf clover. So there's some fun ideas for you. I may be a very messy soaper, but I'm a good idea person. I don't do everything right with this. I just wanted to get rid of that kind of a yellowish beige look with them, but I also wanted to prevent this soap from flowing in and out of those cavities as I'm pouring, because I wanted to do different colors within them. So you'll see how that turns out. The whole idea, though, of doing them and then carving out the back like I am, carving out the holes there, I totally goofed. I totally forgot what I was going to do with it, because my intention in carving out the back was to pour some see-through, clear soap in the center so that the light shone through when you held it up to the light. Well, I had already had some yellow and orange. Well, not the orange. I had the yellow already melted, and so I went with it and kind of matched it by using a similar mica but orange, and ended up making it very opaque. And I was kind of mad at myself. But again, the whole thing of this is, here's some ideas, here's some things you could have fun with, and there's how you can make it. So you could avoid doing what I'm doing, like having to trim it and carve it out, by just pouring, dipping them in clear even, so it doesn't matter. And you could still prevent that soap from coming through so much. It might come through a little depending. And so, I mean, I was flying fast and loose with these because, oh, here's Mr. Soaps and such coming to say hi. I forgot he did that in this video. He always does it when my back is turned, so I never know when that's going to show up. And I know some of my followers love to see him say hello. He does appreciate all of the feedback and positive messages from you guys, and all the love I get. He's very appreciative of that and wants to show that every once in a while. So here I'm just looking at the faces. I'm finding what way they go. Not that it so much matters. It's round. I mean, but it helps me envision what I'm doing. And I also had to eliminate 2 because I made 8 and my mold only holds 6. I do have other of those molds, but I didn't feel like pulling them out. So I just saved them for later. But they do have a little bit more of a spooky vibe with the black. So I liked the way that came out. It's kind of a gray tone, and it works with what I'm doing. I kind of went because I wanted to go with the orange and yellow idea, because I think some of them look a little bit like a jack-o'-lantern, and some look like little ghosties. I don't know, ghost faces. The thing that I don't know how it got cut out of here, I know it was my fault. In the editing process, I goofed somehow. But I did pour a very thin layer of clear in the bottom of these to just adhere them and get them in place, which is why you could just dip them in clear and put them in the bottom and they would be fine, and you wouldn't have to do all the mess I'm doing. But I did want a gray tone to these. So you see me doing kind of a double pour here, and why that is important is I feel like I wasn't real positive how well that soap that I dipped it in would hold back. So I wanted to not create like a huge difference in pressure from one side to the other, so that they would have to run through, the soaps would have to run through from one side to the next. So I would pour a little bit and then a little bit of the other color and back and forth. And it held up overall. There's one spot in the orange and yellow where it kind of leaked through, but I still think it looked cool, so it didn't necessarily matter. But it mostly held up. So if you want to give it a try and see if you're really not worried about it, but you really want to ensure that it doesn't, you could double dip them in clear. Like dip them in clear, let them dry, dip them again, and then put them in your mold, or something like that, and see. But they do create fun little cavities that you can fill if you dip it. See, now it's going from cavity to cavity. So I don't know that you could do those 3 in different colors. They don't all do that. Some of them do. So just to warn you with that, you're before you're planning out doing, one of each color in each little cavity. I'm not sure that works, but you can do the outside and the inside different. Now, doing a double dip, you might be able to get that effect of being able to do one cavity each color, like maybe if you were doing a peace symbol, like I mentioned earlier. So that one, the big one, just to kind of point out, there was very little room to pour soap over on the outside, and I did not think about that before I used that one. There's my big spill, my pour over with that and the yellow. And then when I went to kind of fill that in, it did leak into the eye a little bit. I wanted to be careful not to pour it too hot because I thought that would melt through to the other side. And that may have been why that orange kind of leaked into the yellow eye. I'm not sure. But you want it pour it hot enough so that it sticks to the bottom layer, or to the soap on the sides, or that you have dipped it in for that reason. Okay, so then I leave a little bit of room. I don't pour it so that you don't want it to go over the edge, obviously, of the top of the loofah, because you're going to destroy the design that you've made. So I just poured a little thin, clear layer over the top to seal it all in together and give you a little bit of room with that soap before you dive right into the loofah. Some people do like the loofah to hang at the top, and I have done them that way, but I didn't with these. So that's the way they came out, and I think they're super cute. They were a lot of fun, and then I had to play because I can never leave anything well enough and alone. Please ignore the spiders at the top if you are interested in looking at those and how to do those. Check out my last Halloween DIY video because the instructions for that are in there. And I do go more in depth with the type of soap I'm using and all. That didn't happen as much on here, but honestly, any soap with clarity can get the job done. If you go with the soap, that's just the back. That's what should have been see-through yellow, but I forgot and didn't do it. Any of the clear soaps are going to work well for bright colors and for black. You can also make white with them. As you see, I just added, all I did for this white soap is add titanium dioxide. I didn't use a goat milk soap or a butter soap or anything like that. You can, obviously, but I wouldn't take a buttermilk soap and try to turn it black. It's not going to work. It's just going to be gray. You need a clear soap for that, and a clear soap for brilliant orange and yellow like this. You're going to get a pastel if you use a white soap. The eyeballs, I also show in this previous video with the spider, which I'll attach to this at the end. So you saw the little crystal bat, and the crystal and day glow, sort of, not glow in the dark, pumpkins. And there's the sparkle ghost. I thought he was pretty cute. And here are the loofahs. Hey, if you have stuck around for this long of my ramblings and ideas, I really appreciate you. I would love it if you like this video. Please give it a like and consider subscribing if you'd like to see more of my goofy ideas and more of my intricate art soaps and learn beginner to advanced techniques with melt&pour soap. I'm so grateful for all of you. Grateful for your questions and comments and here is the preview for next week's soaps, and I hope you'll join me. That's a bonfire soap. Thank you so much. I hope you have a wonderful day. Bye.